Okay, so we're going to build a 20 by 30 shop. I thought I'd just start this video out by showing you sort of the procedure, how it works with my local building department and the things that they want when you submit a building plan. Because I'm living on the property, I don't have internet. I can't really run a computer correctly here. I don't have access to any CAD program, so I had to do everything by hand. So the first drawing that they want is this represents the road. And they gave me a restriction. I couldn't build any closer than 16 meters. So for argument's sake, somewhere around 52 feet. I can only build 52 feet away from the center of the road. So they wanted to have a drawing that showed the distance to the road, the size of the building, the side to the side yard, which is 135 feet in my case, and the side yard it's irrelevant. It's 1,835 feet to the other end. So the next thing they want are wall, roof, and front and back wall layouts. So what this shows is I have a concrete slab. I have an engineer's drawing for this concrete slab. I'm going to frame it with 2x6 vertical studs, 16-inch on center, and then every 2 feet, this one's going to be pressure treated, but every 2 feet climbing the wall, similar to a pole barn, I'm going to strap it with 2x4s, double top plate, single bottom plate, pressure treated. There'll be sill gasket, building clad in tin, 12-foot wall height, including top and bottom plates. Anything taller than that, they want an engineer involved, which I think is a little bit crazy, but it is what it is. And finally, the end wall. The rear wall has nothing in it. It's just solid. I put the doors, well, a couple reasons. I put the large door in the end wall and the man door in the end wall. One, because I am in a snow area, and the snow will shear off the top and land on the sides as opposed to in front of the door. I've made that mistake and lived like that before. It was terrible. And secondly, this wall becomes non-load bearing at this point because the trusses are traveling in the same direction. So I doubled up or tripled up 2x10 header. There's no engineering involved. I don't need to go back to anybody and say, can you prove that this is adequate so the building inspector doesn't question it. And I even wrote down in my notes, non-load bearing wall, wind bracing added, wall strapped to 2x4, 24-inch on center, same as sidewalls. And that's basically it. I submitted that to the county and I got it back in just, I think it was 4 days. It was fantastic, super fast. No questions. They seemed to have everything they needed and they said that the drawings were fine. So this is what we're going to work off of for our blueprint. I'll do this as a little video series. I'll start with the ground prep, which is already done here. Most important thing about that is to make sure that you get down to firm soil. If you don't have firm soil, make sure it's compacted. Get rid of overburden. Overburden is brush, shrubs, tree roots, anything like that that can decay and cause a void underneath the slab and cause it to crack. So you don't want that. So initially what happens is you start off with preferably down to untouched soil. And then you can start compacting, and then you're going to add a larger gravel and then a finer gravel with fines in it so it packs down. And then you're going to tamp that. You're going to flare out the edges on it. But we'll do all this as we go along together. We'll do it step by step. We'll start out with the foundation, and then we'll build the walls, build the roof trusses, and so on until we have the building complete over the next couple of weeks. I took some scrap off the sawmill, and I've just made myself some stakes. And I've just put temporary marking paint on them just so I can see them. Don't run them over them with a tractor. And I will put those in all four corners. If you're going to use batter boards or, that's a great way to do things as well, to square the building off. But I still recommend you peg the four corners of the building. I've made a mark here. It starts there, runs along. I put a string line on it. And that is 16 meters from the center of the road. The county does not want my structure, my building, my shop, anything at all that I have. They don't really care about that because it's leaving, but they do not want anything closer than 16 meters, 50 some odd feet. So I've made a mark against my temporary structure. I've tied a string line. I've gone along, you should be able to see that. I've gone along and I've just sort of sprayed the ground as I go. And that'll give me a 16-meter mark to start from. When I start adding rock to this for my base, I am going to move over roughly 2 feet. And the reason for that is as I build this up, if I build it up right at the line and then I put my structure there, you get rain and it starts to just kind of waterfall out underneath, and I don't want that. So if I'm out here and anything's going to settle, it's going to settle that way. I don't have to worry about it underneath the structure itself. So 1 corner, 2 corners, 3, and then 4. I have measured from this corner to this corner, and it was 36'2", and from this corner to this corner. and I have 36 foot 2. So that means those pins are square. When I build the forms, I will go around and check it finally. But what this allows me to do, it allows me to place the gravel over here and start building up the center. I have to have a total of 8 inches, 4 inches of a heavier rock, and then 4 inches of a 1 inch minus with fines in it, just for the inspector to be happy with that before I can start cribbing everything up. So that'll give me, I'll be able to see these pins, and that'll be the reference that I start off when I start building my forms. So I have just had 30 tons of rock dropped off. This is a 1 inch minus, means that the largest rock in it's roughly around 1 inch, and it's full of fines, which means it can be packed down. And this is a 2 inch minus, although I see stuff that's definitely 3 and 4 inches in there, but that's okay. It's a much coarser rock, and it has also got fines in it as well. So there is 30 tons of rock there, 2 15-ton loads. This one here is going to be the base that goes right directly on top of the dirt, and then this one will be on top of that, and that's how I'll shape the slab. So I started spreading the rock around last night after it got here. I got kind of antsy and wanted something to do. So if you look along the edge, this is where my stake is, and I have got the rock going out and beyond it. And what I like to do when I'm doing stuff like this is I will take my tractor and drop a row in the width of the bucket, and then I kind of skip a row and then do another one over here. And the reason for that is when I drive back in with my tires are both on a level surface, and I can drop the center row, and then I can backblade it, and it all kind of stays relatively flat. So this is literally just a quick going over. It's quite level, and it's packing down really good, even just driving the tractor on it. I've got an extension cord that's in the way. I can't stretch it, so I'm gonna have to unplug it, do this corner, and then plug it back in over top. So that's gonna be my crux today. I can see that. And then once that's all down and I've got it the way I like it, I'll fire up the little Honda tamper and I'll start going over it, and it should start hammering down really good. I am gonna walk the excavator around on it as well. I'm gonna take that and track it. It's not a super heavy machine, but it is still, almost 6,000 pounds. So that'll help push down on everything, and then I'll take the tamper to it. And then after that, we'll build it up with the 1 inch minus, the class A, and then I'll be able to start putting the forms in. So I've got about 4 inches down. This is the class C, they call it. So it's like a 2 to 3 inch and down with fines in it. I've been over it 3 times with a tamper, once in each direction, and then on the crisscross. So like I say, I like to fill the gravel in outside of the area that I'm actually going to be cribbing up. So there's the first step. Pretty easy. It's just a little Honda tamper that I have, but the stuff packs down just like it's like concrete. Yeah, hard stuff. So I'm using a Bosch rotary transit level. Works great. And it has a stick with a receiver on it. So I can basically touch that down on top. I find a low spot. So what I do is go around and find the lowest spot, bring the receiver down, and then I can just keep raising it, and it kind of gives me an idea of what's low and what's high. Believe it or not, it's actually pretty good, which means the base was, the ground was pretty good. I only leveled it by eye, but it's really only out a couple inches. Here and there, it's got a few high spots, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the Class A, which is the 1 inch minus with fines, on top of this. Same thing again, I like to come out beyond the edge of the forms, where the form's going to be, and that way, to explain that again, if it rains and it starts to wash stuff away, it's going to wash it away out here. It's not going to wash it away here up next to where my concrete's going to be. Okay, yeah, so let's get going, and we'll get the second layer on and get that tamped down. Now climb the hill here from the road, and we'll just have a look at it from sort of so that's a nice solid base. It's about 4 inches thick. It just tapers off at the edges, but it's about 4 inches thick. My stakes are still standing, and next thing I'm going to do is get the 1 inch minus put on top of that, and then I can start to build up the center.